What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to Sky Strikers for 2024. So this deck, the more and more I've been testing it, the more and more I've realised it's just so good at going second now in comparison to going first. It can go first if you want to go down that route, but its go second capabilities and powers, especially with cards like Triple Tactics Thrust running around, is just near enough second to none. So this is a go second version of Sky Striker, but I'll explain what card you would then take out and what type of go first card you could then add in. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into the monsters, we are playing, of course, triple Sky Striker Ace Ray. Not much more really needs to be said about this. The card's just incredibly good. The fact that it's got a quick effect to tag out and then go into a link summon, and then the ability to revive itself from the grave, it's just such a pain in the backside to deal with. The only downside of it is it's a dark attribute, and now with Bestials running around, it's a lot harder for Ray to actually come back from the grave. More times than not, it is going to get targeted by a Bestial, so keep that in mind. Then, of course, we do play the one Sky Striker Ace Rose and, of course, the one Hamp. As it's a go second build, if you wanted to go first, you could probably take the Hamp out, entirely up to you. But the fact of the matter is that you technically have your own in-archetypal Kaiju, which is really, really cool. And because it is always treated as a Sky Striker card, it's very easily searchable. So, for those of you unfamiliar with Hamp, is if you control a Sky Striker Ace monster, you get to special summon this card from the hand to either field by tributing one monster from the field. You can only special summon it itself once per turn this way. When this card is destroyed by battle, you get to target one card your opponent trolls and destroy it. So obviously the idea is you're just going to be able to get a nice little Kaiju onto your opponent's board, which allows you to out one of your opponent's more painful monsters to deal with. But like I said, if you're going first, you could probably cut this down or maybe not even play it at all. It really is up to you. I do like I said, going second is very, very important because searching this out, Kaiju off your opponent, and all you need to do is control a Sky Striker Ace monster, which isn't that hard to do in a Sky Striker deck. So then obviously the most important cards of the entire Sky Striker kind of strategy are spells. So as you'll see, we are playing a huge amount of spells in the main deck. So of course we are going for triple Sky Striker Mobilize Linkage. Such a great card when it was introduced. Again, I feel obviously, when you have cards like Widow Anchor Engage, you're always looking for that next card to be absolutely insane for the deck. Now, I'm not saying that this is on their level, but this card is just absolutely insane for being able to give you the ability to link someone during your player's turn. And all it's going to take is getting a really, really cracked link monster that can be a little bit more effective during your opponent's turn, rather than either Kagari, add back from grave, Suzuki, add in the end phase, or Kaina, lock down an attack, which are all very good options, but you kind of want something that could be more destructive. And then, of course, we do play triple Widow Anchor. This is why the deck's so good at going second. Like, just having a card that is a quick play imperm, like a quick play spell imperm is insane. And then it can also be a quick play imperm and a snatch steal. So it's like, okay, let's rock and roll with it. Then, of course, we've got 2 Engage. I'm surprised it didn't come back to 3, actually. I was highly expecting that this may come back to 3 on the previous list. But, yeah, 2 is more than enough. I am, like I said, I am going to be playing triple Upstart. This is just a preview. I'll go back to the Sky Striker cards shortly after. But the way I saw it was like, okay, Upstart into whatever spell. But the idea is Upstart, 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 Engage, Engage. Like, you're drawing 5 cards. You're really burning through your deck. You don't have to play Upstart at all. This is just one of the cards that I wanted to try and see if I could integrate post-list and see if it is just as effective this format or not. You do have other options if you don't want to play Upstart. But what I do like about it is it does allow you to draw into some of your go second cards, some of your board breakers, and it probably makes your job a little bit easier. The only downside is with a format with Droll running rampant, activating an Upstart can be pretty damaging, especially in a deck that already gets hurt by Droll, because the idea behind a deck like this is you want to be able to utilize Engage's double effect. You're searching out an exact card that you want and then drawing another random card that can help extend your plays in one way or another. So if you're going to get hit by Droll, the whole idea of going Kagari, add back Engage, use Engage again, because who thought not to put you can only activate this card once per turn on its name is absolutely nutty. But yeah, constantly being able to go, cool, I'll make my own version of Pot of Greed, but better. So I thought I'd give Upstart a go, see if it, like I said, is relevant in the deck, this format. If you're not a massive fan of it, take it out completely. There are obviously pros and cons to both sides of it. If you do take it out, you can put in more board breakers. One of the 2 cards that I was kind of looking at putting in that I haven't really put in place of anything is you can bump up your hand traps. You can add back in Foolish Burial if you want to. You can put in Terraforming. You do have a couple of options for more flexibility. So going back to the Sky Striker cards, of course, we are playing 2 multi-roll. I just think the recursion from the graveyard of this card is absolutely insane. Not to mention its effect to pop a card, which is really important in this build because we are utilising cards that we may be putting into our own main monster zone, and you want to be able to play as many cards as possible to clear them off and then gain advantage off the back of it. So being able to utilise your card like multi-roll, which not only lets you recycle your Sky Striker cards from the graveyard, so play Widow Anchor as many times as you want, pretty much. Obviously they will get banished when they leave the field, but the idea is you're just going to constantly keep looping them with stuff like Kagari's and then multi-rolls itself. But also telling your opponent you cannot respond to my spell effects is absolutely insane. It's not just striker spells, but it's just absolutely insane that they can't respond to your spells, which again, it's kind of like, did it really need that ability to protect all your spells, including Upstart? But here we are. The best thing about it as well, because your opponent could not activate cards or effects in response to your spell cards, it actually really doesn't matter what you send off a Forbidden Droplet, which is really funny. And then, of course, for the remainder of the Sky Strike cards, 1 Shark Cannon, 1 Hornet Drones, 1 Afterburners, you can play multiple if you want to, Eagle Booster, and Area 0. Moving back to the generic spells, of course, we are main decking triple Forbidden Droplet. Just like I said with the multi-roll, previously you might be like, okay, well, you're playing loads of spells. How is this going to be of any help to you whatsoever? Because if you're sending spells, more times than not, your opponent will be able to chain with a monster effect. And that's, of course, where multi-roll comes into play. Because if you've activated multi-roll previously this turn, it really doesn't matter what you send to the graveyard, and being able to send spells to the graveyard is then only going to increase your ability to resolve the engage effect. Like if you've opened up engage with Droplet and then 2 more spells from your opening hand of 6, you activate Droplet, send 2 spells, negate 2 cards on the board, and then straight away your engage becomes a Pot of Greed, search 1, draw 1. So you're recovering all your resources as much as possible. And then of course we've got the 1 Reinforcement of the Army, the 1 Called by the Grave, and triple Tactics Thrust. Because not only can triple Tactics Thrust get you to Rotor, it can get you to Engage, and get to any of your normal spells or traps, and that is where the Go Second element of this deck comes into play. So for the Go Second elements, what I am playing is the 1 Lightning Storm, Talents, Dark Hole, and Change of Heart, alongside a single copy of Evenly Matched. So as you can tell, I've gone for a bit more of a board breaking option. I do like Dark Hole over stuff like Regeki for the pure fact there are times when you might actually want to clear your own board off. If you're not a fan of Lightning Storm, you can very easily play Harpy's Feather Duster. The way I kind of saw it was, if I go for Lightning Storm, I've got that capability to Harpy's Feather Duster or technically Raigeki, and so it does give me a board clearance of both sets of rows depending on which one I need to target in what specific matchup. Other cards you can very easily consider of the deck that I am not playing in the main deck because I am playing Nibiru as a bit of a preview is Dino Wrestler and Prankatops. Now the reason Prankatops has such a great advantage over everything else for a deck like this is the fact that it clears itself off. So you go draw phase, standby phase, draw phase, summon down Prankatops. Straight away, you've got an incredibly strong monster that puts your opponent under pressure, especially if they have an SP Little Knight. And then even if they do have an SP Little Knight, you just go, okay, cool, Prankatops effect, clear it off the board as cost. They then can't get rid of it. They have to get rid of their own monsters if they want to try and protect. Or Prankatops is just going to out the floodgates with stuff like Anti-Spell Fragrance and everything else. Considering Anti-Spell Fragrance might be more of an issue as they side it in, that's where Prankatops currently is. But again, if the format changes or I feel that Prankatops needs to be in the main deck, I would be looking at putting it back in, and it would be coming into place of cards like Nibiru. So for the hand traps, I'm playing 2 Nibiru, 2 Ash, and 2 Imperm. You can max any of these out to 3 if you want to. Nibiru is a little bit risky, but again, because we're going second, you want to play as many cards that are going to attempt to end your opponent's turn as much as possible. Being able to drop a Nibiru on your opponent, that is why multi-roll becomes even more important, and so does Forbidden Droplet along with the field spell, because the last thing you want to do is drop a Nibiru on your opponent, draw your hand, and you're like, I can't use any of this because I've got a monster in the main monster zone. So that's what you need to be very, very careful of, which is why you might consider putting in Dino Wrestler Prankatops instead of Nibiru. The difference with Prankatops over Nibiru is Nibiru gives you that ability to drop it on your opponent during their turn, whereas Prankatops, yes, it can be activated during your opponent's turn, but you still need to be able to get it on the board. So there's risk and reward no matter how you cut it. So that's it for the entire main deck. I believe it is a 41 card deck because I added a card in at the last minute and changed up the ratios. But again, it's entirely up to you on how you want to adapt this, cut this around, change it around. Like I said, I did look into going first because I wanted it to be a little bit different. But ultimately the deck is just so much better going second, like crazy, crazy good. And at Upstart, again, it just needs a little bit more testing as to whether or not I feel I want it in there or not. ultimately you're giving your opponent, or you're going to put your opponent up to 11,000 life points. And Sky Strikers aren't exactly known for being a huge boss deck. Yes, they can complete an OTK, but the OTK near enough just hits 8k as it is. So you do need to be a little bit careful and a little bit more resourceful, because you don't really want to give your opponent an opportunity to come back into the game. So you do need to kind of balance it out a little bit. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, pretty standard on this one. Triple Kagari alongside triple Suzuku, double Hayate, one Kana. I actually do like the times of being able to like summon this during our opponent's turn. Again, there's loads of ways you can do it during your opponent's turn. You've got Ray to go into it as well, but obviously linkage can help you do that, and just being able to lock one of your opponent's attacks can be quite invaluable, and actually can end up winning you a duel or passing it back into your favour. We've then got the one Zeke followed by the one Azalea, just, you know, like to keep it all themed. And then moving into the other links, we've got Dart the Dark Charmer, SP Little Knight. Like, the card is just stupidly broken. And then Access Code Talker. Now, you'll see with Access Code Talker, the best thing about this is obviously your Sky Striker Ace monsters are already naturally different attributes. So every time you make Access Code Talker, yes, of course, you don't have a link 3 monster, so it's only going to be a base of 43. But by the time you make it, at the very least, you're going to end up having possibly 4 different attributes. Not to mention, you probably would have attacked with Hayate a couple of times. So that's where you need to shift this deck to be break the board, control the board, and then win the next turn afterwards. So. And then the final card, it can be Zeus, it can be a bump up of Zeke if you want to, but I went with the Sky Typhoon, just because there are times when you can give your opponent your Hamp, and then you can bounce it back, Hemp. You can give them your Sky Striker Hamp, and then bounce it back with Typhoon, and then you can get to go again. So it gives you loads of times of play to make. Yes, of course, there is an issue when you do put it on the in the main monster zone. You do need to get rid of it, but again, like I said, that's droplet and everything else you need to. So it does also allow you, should you make another link monster or anything else, you can upgrade your attacks to go to 29, and that can help you push through for an OTK as well. You just need to be careful on when you're putting it on the board. Not that many of your monsters are going to be above 3,000 attack, so you should be in a good position. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it for the profile. It'll be interesting to see what Sky Strikers can do this format. It's very interesting that the ban list we had has just pretty much revived the format of Orcust, Sky Strikers, Salamangreats. Obviously not as dominant as they were back then, but still very interesting that they are now all back in the game. I feel that Salamangreat will have a little bit of an edge over all of them because it is a fire-based deck, whereas I feel that if you want to deal with Orcust and you want to deal with Ray, specifically, you can then just go, okay, cool, well, I'll start playing Bestials. Whereas if you then decide, you know what, I'm just going to put DD Crows in my deck, you can pretty much cover all 3 of the decks to deal with. So I do feel DD Crow will be a very interesting card going further into this format. Definitely something to be looking out for. And I feel that it might have the edge on the Bestial just because it can target any card. So it does give you a bit more of a overall range when you're trying to deal with a range of decks, which we currently have in the format, in comparison to Bestials, which, yes, are really good. Don't take anything away from them. But I feel DD Crow might give you a little bit more versatility and consistency as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. As I said throughout this profile, this is not perfected. This is not the end product. I'm still trying out a few things just to see how we can adapt it for a more Ghost Second build. I do feel that Upstart may not be as required and it might come out. It will just come out through testing of how consistently can I utilize Upstart, using it multiple times, giving my opponent those life points, but still seeing a game through to the end and ultimately winning it. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.